So anything that happens in life, because life is what we're given, we have to be able to talk about it and make fun of it and confront it in whatever way possible.
Familia, welcome to NILC's Freedom to Thrive podcast, Resistance, Justice, and Resilience. And I'm your host, Hector Flores. And today, we got a good one today. I don't know if you've been outside, but it's wild. And so we love to bring on guests who can share their experiences and their personal stories. Because really, at the end of the day, we're all the same because we're all different, right? And so we love to bring on people who can really exemplify that. And today we got a rising comedic star. This homeboy is hilarious, thought-provoking. He's cute AF and just dropped a brand new special on YouTube, Alien of Ordinary Ability. So we're going to get into that. So we're going to have our brother TJ join the show, and stick around because we have Cassandra Charles, who is the senior staff attorney for the National Immigration Law Center, daughter of Haitian immigrants who's been fighting on the front lines, not only for Haitian immigrants, but immigrants everywhere. So with no further ado, let's welcome the Haitian sensation, brother TJ, to the podcast. How you doing, man?
Thanks, Hector. I'm doing great. I appreciate the lovely introduction, and I appreciate the
Hey,
upgrade that we got. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to talk to you and the whole team at NILC.
how you like Haitian sensation? I think it rolls off the tongue, man.
Yeah, I've heard that one quite a bit. I always enjoy it, so I'm happy to hear. So,
So let's start really quick. I want to start with your name.
mhm.
TJ, is it a stage name? Is it an abbreviated name? Um, or what is your real name? I'd love to know.
All right. It TJ is a stage name, an abbreviated name. It's my initials because when I first started, I would force people to pronounce my name, and I would find that a lot of comedy show hosts would have an aneurysm before they could say my name. It was just terrifying for them. And all if that was only half of the problem. The other half is after shows, people would come up to me and they go, "Hey, you were very funny. You're the Haitian guy, right? I can remember your name." And I thought I can
Mm.
afford to have that because I'm here and I need these people because I'm starting out in this hard and crazy business. It's a hustle, it's a grind. So I got to make sure that I make myself accessible and easy to remember for these folks. So I figured let's just use the initials. My real name is Tanael Joachim, which is a little bit tricky if you're not Haitian or if you don't
Yeah,
speak
man.
French. So I thought TJ is easy enough. That sounds like a white frat boy. So the average American should be okay with that. Let's just do that.
Yeah, because when I heard it, I'm like, I don't know if TJ's a Haitian name, you know. But okay. But speaking of Haiti, bro, were you always funny? Did you grow like what's the comedy scene in Haiti? Like, did you start comedy in Haiti? Did you start in the US? Like, what were you like that funny kid growing up? Tell me a little bit about that.
I started comedy in the US.
Mm,
I wouldn't say we have a scene in Haiti. We have funny people. I think Haitians as a people, because of the hardships that we just face with all the time, funny is sort of a survival mechanism that we all have to cope. The average Haitian in the streets is just hilarious because that's what you have to be. Otherwise, you're not gonna make it.
yeah.
So we just have that as a tool in our back pocket. And as a people, you can ask Cassandra. She'll tell you Haitians are very funny. And but for me, that was not a thing that you could pursue as a career. That didn't really exist in Haiti. So
Yeah.
when I came here,
Yeah.
I was trying to improve my English, so I watched a lot of TV, and that's when I fell in love with stand-up comedy, the art form of it, the simplicity of one person on a stage with a microphone creating this communication and connection with an audience. There's something about it that was very beautiful to me.
And who you watching when you came to the States? Like who do you remember like some of the first inspirations?
Well, the first person that I was watching who was big, really big, because I came here 2008.
Yeah.
Cat Williams was huge at the time.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
weirdly enough, I saw what he was doing, but I was able to, I could see it, but at a distance. I was like, that's not really me, but I appreciate it. And then I was introduced to George Carlin,
Mm.
and that's the same year he died. Went up to me. top 2 comedians in the history of stand-up comedy. And that's the year that he died. And I just discovered him and watched everything that he did. And that felt closer to what I could try to be like, more so than Cat Williams.
Why did you feel closer to George Carlin, a
I
white
think there
guy,
was a,
that you had a Cat Williams, sort of the black experience and black jokes? What was it? What do you think?
I think it was personality and energy and type of material.
Yeah.
Cat Williams is very energetic. He's like a little leprechaun running around the stage, sweating everywhere. Just
Physical comedy. Yeah.
super physical. And I'm very calm on stage.
Yeah.
And I like to just take a moment and create something and let people end more so than that. And also the irreverence of George Carlin was attractive to me because I remember seeing him do a 10 Commandment bits where he was criticizing religion out loud. And that's something that was unheard of to me because, you know, most Haitians are very religious, very Christian. So just to see somebody talk about religion in ways that I would think of, but was afraid to say because you're not allowed to do that in Haitian culture.
Oh,
That was a magnet. I was like, oh, I don't know, man, this old Irish guy, there's something about him that I like. Yeah, he's kind of saying things that I wish I could say.
yeah. I was going to ask you about that because you do have a lot of like, I've been watching your comedy and you have a lot of these religious undertones. And I was like, bro, this guy is Haitian. So you grew up religious?
Oh, I grew up Christian. I used to go to church every Sunday from like as young as I can remember until 15 years old.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And was it, how does your family feel about some of your religious comedy?
Not even my family. How do Haitians feel in general?
Yes. How do Haitians feel about your
They're
religious
very
comedy?
religious people. It's very tricky. I've gotten in trouble many times with Haitian crowds because that's just something you don't do because like it's very deep. I've had Haitians, and I think it's a thought process that's around the world for people who are very deeply religious. Yeah. I've had Haitians tell me that the big earthquake in Haiti, 2010, they think that it's God's punishing Haitians because that we turned our backs on it. And I just can't live in that world where you think that the God that you pray to, that's supposed to love you as his children, would also destroy your entire country because you're not praying hard enough to him. I just couldn't.
I know. You know, it's you know, so I grew up super Catholic, right? My parents very Catholic. My dad was saved. He would say he was saved by the Catholic Church. He was a little troublemaker. He got shot when he was young and then met my mom and got really involved with the church. But when I was a kid, he would say all these Jesus jokes, you know, and they were so good, man. And they were hilarious, but two are taboo. Like you
would say them around you.
Yeah, he would say it to us, right? But he would say it to us, but he wouldn't say it to other people. He would just say it to his kids and his close friends.
Those are like, I always felt like family jokes.
Yeah, but I was like, these are hilarious because you're not supposed to make fun, right? You're not supposed to make fun of Jesus or God. But my dad was a devout Catholic and still felt that you could be funny and make jokes about Catholicism, about religion, about the hypocrisy of human beings. It's like, that's life. Like you have to live with the contradictions, and it's okay to joke about the contradictions. And so when I watch your comedy, you go in there, man. And for me, as someone who grew up Catholic and kind of not so much anymore, I love it because you uplift these contradictions, you uplift the hypocrisy and the hilarity. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's in a way to me that's sort of the essence of comedy. The things you're not supposed to say. You know what I mean? There's we all live lives. We're trying to get by. We're polite to people. We're nice to them. And a comedy club is a place where you get to go once a week. You go in a dark basement. You get some drinks. You're with people that you trust. You create this ambiance, and you go, all right, let me hear the stuff that I can't talk about at work. The stuff that could get me in a little bit of trouble. But it's a game that we play. This is not how the world is. We just get to be here and have a release. as human
Yeah.
beings, because life is messy. There's a lot of weird things. There's hypocrisy. Being a human being is strange. We have this life that we're gonna die someday. We're worried about a lot of things. Like, what is the place where we can sort of find a way to deal with it in a fashion that brings us joy,
Yeah.
but without losing our humanity? And I think comedy is a very good coping mechanism for all of that.
Question: what did you do before comedy? Like, if you came to the States, what what did you plan on doing in the States if you weren't doing comedy in Haiti?
Well, I was gonna get my degree. I was in college when I came here, get my degree and get a job with a suit, one of those jobs, and you send money back home like a good immigrant, which is what you're
Yeah.
supposed to do. So
Yeah.
then the plan fell apart because I fell in love with this other thing. So I never really
She.
got to do a regular job like before I even started stand up.
What were you studying?
I was a business management major, political science minor.
Oh, snap. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
So, question that I always have for immigrant folks, because me, I was born in East LA, right? My mama's from Mexico, my dad's from Mexico. They had that experience coming, but I always love knowing about the experience for folks who came, especially later in life. Like,
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
came to the States, what is something you expected, and what is something you did not expect that just kind of like caught you off guard coming to the United States?
Oh, that's a good one. Well, the expectation was built up from, there's a strong immigration culture in Haiti where everybody's got a cousin that somehow lives in the States. You know somebody who's gone and they're out there living their lives, and you have these pictures of it from what they tell you. So you don't really know. You just have ideas. You're like, oh, there's electricity 24/7. That's a great idea for a kid from Haiti because we don't have that luxury. There's
Mm,
highways and every street is well lit every night. There's all of that. So you have all of that. This perfect, oh, this place is just better than where I'm from because they managed to make things work in a way we haven't yet.
yeah.
And then I come and then you start to see a couple of things and you're like, huh, interesting. All the good stuff was there, but then I started to see the bad stuff. My first real shock in America was Black Friday. I saw Black Friday on TV. That was 2008 in a Walmart in Long Island where I was going to school, and I saw some old lady got trampled and murdered over a flat screen TV.
I have a friend, and he's an organizer. He's an international organizer, and he brought folks, union organizers from Singapore and
Mm-hmm.
South Asia to LA who had never been to United States.
Interesting, yeah.
And he told me they were learning about union workers and solidarity and how to form a union, and they were shocked that the LA had homeless people, or that United States had the amount of homeless people. He was just like,
Right.
isn't this the like most powerful country in the
Yeah.
world? Why would you allow people to live like this
Yes.
when you can afford to take care of them? And when he was telling me, when you live in LA, you're like, yeah, we got homeless folks. Of course we do. You grow up, but I never thought about how other people view the United States and how they come here and they literally can't fathom it. That
Right.
how you can have a country with so much money and not want to take care of its people. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, it's never an accurate perception of it because,
Yeah.
my perception of it is going to be very different from somebody from Singapore because Singapore is a much more developed country than Haiti. I've heard wonderful things about Singapore, just
Mm,
clean streets. It almost looks futuristic. It almost doesn't look real as a country
mm.
because everything is so perfect. So I would imagine
Question.
that person would be shocked by homelessness.
Yeah. And also another thing I want to ask just about your experience too. One thing that I'm also fascinated about in the United States, because we have so many cultures,
Yeah.
is about identity, right? And so I remember a professor of mine told me, he said, identity is made up of two things. One is how you view yourself,
Yeah.
but two is how you think other people view you,
Yeah.
right? And those two things create how you walk in the world.
Mhm.
And so, as someone from Haiti who came and now living in the U.S. Do you see yourself, or how do you see yourself? Do you see yourself as a Haitian immigrant? Do you see yourself as a Black person in America? How do you identify or see yourself in the American landscape?
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a very difficult one because it changes almost, I don't know, week to week. It almost changes on a daily basis because you can, to a certain extent, control how you see yourself. And even that's a little difficult, but you cannot control how other people see you. And the first realization I had with this was coming to America and now being so aware of race. Because in Haiti, 97% of the people look like me. So I don't wake up every day and go like, oh, I'm a Black person. That was not something that I thought about all the time. That was just, oh, I'm just a person in this country. I'm a Haitian person. And then I came to America thinking, oh, I'm just a Haitian immigrant. And then I realized, oh, this is a little different now. People see you as a Black person. And then now Black people in America see you as an immigrant. And then other immigrants see you as a Haitian. There's like a compounding of different ways other people look at you that almost have nothing to do with how you see yourself. So it's kind of like this crazy world of, this is who I am, but this is what this group thinks I am, and this is what this other group thinks I am, and this is what this other group thinks I am.
Yeah. And then, I'm an artist. I'm in a band. I travel. I have the privilege of traveling around the country, right? And seeing places I would have never gone to, right? And a lot of times, because we play a Mexican, Afro-Mexican style of folk music. So we get invited to like folk festivals, bluegrass, world music stuff. But sometimes we're the only Mexicans there. You know what I mean? We're the only Chicano kids there.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like an ambassador sometimes.
You are.
But I didn't choose to be, right?
That's
you just
right.
kind of,
that's right.
All of a sudden, whatever I say is kind of like what all Mexicans say.
Correct.
Right? And then
that's the burden of the minority and the immigrant in a way.
And the privilege, right?
Yeah.
Right? In both ways, right? And so when you do your comedy, how do you step up? Do you see yourself like, hey, I'm a comedian first, I'm a Haitian first, I'm a Black man first? How do you, when you step on stage, what is sort of, and I know you may not even be thinking about this consciously, but that's my question.
Yeah, I'm thinking about it. For me, the moment I step on stage, I have a microphone in my hand and there's people in the room. I'm a comedian first. Now all the other stuff will follow from that. And when I'm on stage, I have to think, I just want to be the best version of me as a human being who's a comedian that I can be. And I think if I do that well, then the rest will follow. Because I'm sure after I finish my show, somebody will leave and go like, huh, I'd never met a Haitian before. That was an interesting experience.
Yeah.
Or maybe if they hated the show, they'll be like, oh, I hate Haitians. That was my first experience with a Haitian. And it sucked. But I can't control that.
Yeah.
All I can control is how I do my job in the way I see myself. And to me, that's the privilege and the burden of whatever I do, then it is Haitian because I'm Haitian by nature. Yeah. So I have to be able to reconcile the fact that people are seeing me and that's what they're seeing.
As you as an artist, I don't for people who live outside the US, I don't think people know how many worlds exist inside the United States.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
The United States is not one thing.
That I think there's at least 12 different countries inside of it.
Oh my goodness. Bro.
At least.
And if you go to New Orleans, it's another planet, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like, and what has been your biggest takeaway, like traveling all throughout the country, like as a Haitian immigrant who grew up in Haiti, comes to the US, comes to New York, but then now has the privilege to travel, not only nationally, but also internationally. Like, what has been your biggest takeaway in your learnings from that travel?
It's my favorite thing about this job, the fact that I'm lucky enough that I can travel around this country and see so many facets of it. And you meet so many people that or quote unquote American, and then you go, huh, that's a new type of American I didn't know existed. That's a new way of being an American that I didn't know existed. So it's like it makes you realize that the idea of a country, because countries, I'm talking about this in my hour right now in my new set, but a country is a fictional thing that we make up to build an identity around it, because there isn't, countries are like, you give them a name, you find this piece of land, you go, this is our country. But if you were to look at the earth from, a higher vantage point, you can't point any countries. We just drew maps and we decided this is where America starts and this is where it ends. But it's not the reality of life. So then you get to be lucky enough as a entertainer, and then you get to travel, and then you go, like, oh, the Pacific Northwest is a very different country from the East Coast of America. Florida is different from the Deep South. And you go, Texas is kind of its own thing. It's like Florida, but with less beach and way more guns. It's just a lot of different combinations. You're like, America is a very interesting place. And also, it's so big. I don't think people realize how big America is.
Yeah. It's kind of wild, And when I think about, I remember I'd never been to Detroit, right, growing up. And then we got to do a show in Detroit. And the only thing I know about Detroit was because I saw a Michael Moore documentary called Roger and Me, right? And all I thought, and so you think about Flint, Michigan, they don't have water in Michigan. You think about deindustrialization, it's a wasteland, it's struggling. It's like, that's how I'm thinking about Detroit. And then we go to Detroit, and I'm blown away by the communities that live there. I had the best baklava I've ever had in my life in Detroit. The artists creating, it's almost like a city making more with less. And I fell in love. It felt like a rising phoenix, right?
Yeah.
And you would have never known that by listening or watching mainstream news and TV, And so my question to you is, as much as, Haiti's been on the news and Haitian immigrants, what's something that you want, people to know about Haiti or Haitian immigrants that they may or may not know? What's something you want people to be like, yo, this is think about us.
How much time do we have? Just we're so misunderstood by the world in a way, because we have this history. We have this beautiful history that I don't think enough people know about, because we this is a big claim to fame. We are the first Black republic in the world. We're the first ones to go, let's have our own country. We don't want to be subjects and slaves of France anymore. So that's the big thing we did in 1804. From 1791 to 1804, we were just fighting for our freedom and for our lives. And then that creates this identity, because there's this Haitian pride around it of, oh, I'm the descendant of people who wanted to be free. There's something about that fills you up with joy, and you just stand upright. You feel good about yourself. But then you look at the current state of your country and you're like, why did we go from this and now we can't manage to get to this level again where we can make this country work, this country that so many strong and brilliant and brave people gave their lives for, and now it's not working. And then now you got to go and make a lot of analysis where you go to human history and you go, how much of what is happening in Haiti currently is the fault of Haitians versus the powers that did not want Haiti to be what it became in the first place. So that's a very complicated conversation as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that going on. But to give you just a few short things I would want people to know is how hospitable Haitians are. We love taking care of people. Like when somebody who's a foreigner comes to Haiti, we will feed you until we kill you. We have, I think, possibly, I mean, I'm biased, but we'll probably have the best food in the Caribbean, because it's this weird mixture of Native American stuff, West African stuff, and then you infuse a little bit of French cuisine in it. So those three worlds came together to create something pretty unique. So I think we got something special there. And I think Haitians are just joy-loving people. We love living. we just love life. Like, as bad as things are in Haiti, you can go to some corners of the country any weekend and you will see people living and enjoying life as if nothing was happening.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Orale. And one of the best albums ever, The Score by the Fugees, man.
That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Right.
One of the best albums out there, bro. You know, like you got claim on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
that's the
He
blood.
played a big role in
And
putting Haiti on the map for sure. I
yeah,
love
man.
Wyclef.
Yeah,
I
yeah, yeah,
respect him
yeah.
for that. Whatever else may have happened after, that's what it is. But I love what he did for Haitians, because there was a time when Haitians were severely bullied in America and American culture. Nobody respected Haitians. They would just look down on him because of all the political strife. And Wyclef came out and was proudly Haitian and was a world-class musician.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people are like, "Oh, you guys are the Wyclef people. That's cool." So he played his part.
Interesting how that happened. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, so I wanted to, thank you for sharing that, brother.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for sharing that,
Of
man.
course.
I know it's a lot. Yeah. As someone who's never been to Haiti, the two things I know about Haiti is the first successful slave revolt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And Wyclef. And I've, it's
Those
like,
are two
that's
pretty
what I
good things
know.
to have in the corner. That's for sure. Yeah.
But, I want to bring it back to comedy too, brother, because I feel like your comedy is also filled with a lot of joy.
Yeah.
At the same time, the tension is there's a lot of cynicism. At the same time, there's a lot of truth telling.
Yeah.
And all that. And so, what can speak, what I don't want to speak for you, but like, what do you want people to take away from your shows, or what do people expect when they come see a show where you're performing?
First of all, I want them to have a good time. And while we're having a good time, I also want it to be a very human experience. And what that means to me is we don't shy away from anything. So anything that happens in life, because life is what we're given, we have to be able to talk about it and make fun of it and confront it in whatever way possible. So I don't want to, pretend. We're not playing pretend here. We're not like being kids. We're adults and we understand what we're doing. We understand that there's a lot of tragedy in it. There's a lot of sadness in it. There's a lot of misfortune in it. And if we can find a way to look at that and go, oh, I can deal with that. It's kind of like being a doctor treating a disease. Where you go, okay, my treatment for the sadness and the misery of life is humor and it's laughter. And you only make fun of things that should be made fun of, because being able to laugh at something that's painful and sad kind of removes a little bit of the power from it. And it gives you the choice. So now next time you're presented with something that's really difficult in life, you go, all right, I have the choice to let this break me down, or I have the choice to kind of laugh at this. Yeah. And you realize, oh, there's something there that's very useful as a tool. It's not going to fix life's problems, but it will give you some sort of agency over your own life, where you go, it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of how I see it.
Brother TJ, I've been on the road over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
I just finished a tour, and it was a 20-city tour, 6 states, over 30 days. But you, my friend, you did a year-long tour.
Yeah.
78 cities, 19 countries, 13 of them in Europe.
Yeah.
And it was a self-financed tour.
Yeah.
And I don't think people understand how difficult that is. Can you share a little bit about just what went into into the crazy mind of thinking, what, I could do that, how I can finance that, and how you kind of put that together?
Yeah, it's I don't even know how I did it, but it was just something to do. So the way it started was, I'm here in New York, right? And I'm working at all the clubs, and I'm getting up and doing stand up 3-4 times a weekend, and sometimes 3-4 times during the week. So I'm working all the clubs in New York. And in New York, when you do a set at a comedy club, you work 15 minutes. On the weekends, you get paid $120. On weeknights, you get paid $50. So it's okay, but it's not enough to sustain yourself. So I got to a point where I thought, okay, if I really want to do this as a career, one, I have to find a way to make money, which was not enough what I was making, just the club spots. And two, I have to be able to do it beyond New York because, you get comfortable. You're like, oh, I know how to make New Yorkers laugh. Now, does my comedy have any value outside of New York? How universal is this? Can I talk to people who've never been to New York City? Can I talk to people in Chattanooga, Tennessee? Can I talk to people in Belgium? So that I thought,
Mm.
okay, I always felt like comedy is a thing that connects people from all over the place. So then I have those two concepts. One, I want to make a little bit more, and two, I want to connect to more people beyond New York City. And then I did some research, and I found that there were some, comedians. Because sometimes the way the industry used to work back in the day, that doesn't exist anymore. But back in the day, you get discovered, an agent comes and swoops you, a big company finds you and they put some money behind you and they sell you out to the public. They're like, we think this person is next. We're going to invest in them and we'll see how they do. That's not a thing that was happening for me.
Mm.
So I thought I have to do it myself because no one is going to do it. And if I sit there waiting, it might be 50 years later and that nobody shows up. So I'm like, I got to find a way to do it myself. And
Mm.
I did some research. And essentially, I started running this small business where I'm like, how do I go to these places? How do I book myself for the travel, the hotels, and all of that? And I found a couple of people in Europe that helped me build an itinerary of different countries where comedy was becoming a thing in Europe because it's somewhat new to them because comedy is a very American art form. Europeans are now really into it, but I would say it's the last 20 years or so. It was very much, oh, this is an American thing. And now, because there's such a bilingual system in Europe where most people learn English as a second language and they're very curious about what's happening in the English speaking world. So it kind of opened itself up to me. And I found this lovely woman named Beatrice, who lives in Italy, who is very into booking American comedians in Europe. So she helped me build up the European portion of the tour. So I was able to get
Yeah.
13 different countries and to find those different places where I wasn't really known. It was just like, let me take a chance and see if I put on a show here and I promote it, would people come? And in some places we had some success, in some other places it was tougher, but it was the start. Once you started, then you can figure out the kinks of it. You got to start somewhere. That's the toughest part of anything in life.
Yeah. Biggest lesson learned from that thing
Oof. Biggest
before.
lesson learned. Uh, have some respect for people's cultures in terms of how they express themselves. That was the lesson that I realized, especially in Europe, because I was used to New York and American energy
Mhm.
sometimes.
Yeah.
When people love something, the way they react to it is, oh, they just let you know. Americans are very loud and very expressive, right? Then I go to Europe and I'm doing my shows and I'm not getting the usual American response. Now in my mind, I'm like, oh, maybe this is not working. It's just bad. So that happened a couple times, but then after the shows, people would come up to me and they go, "We really enjoyed this. We loved it very much." And I was like, "You did?" And they go, "Yeah." Well, I'm like, "Well, it didn't feel like it." It's like, no, no, no. We just That's how we appreciate things. We're very polite. There's a sense in Europe where people just sit there and they almost look at you like you're a musician as opposed to a comedian. They're like, "Oh, this is a
Mm.
a recital. You're playing classical music, and we're just here to appreciate it and snap a little bit and just like, oh my god." I could see they were very attentive. I just wasn't getting what I thought I should get, and that's me being used to the American reaction. It's like, no, no,
Yeah.
no. These people appreciate it. They're just different about the way they appreciate it.
Yeah. What I love about your story is that you wanted to test how universal your stories were, your jokes were.
Yeah, yeah,
And you could have stopped in New York or you could have stopped in the US, but you took a leap of faith on yourself and said, I'm gonna do this.
yeah,
And I feel like that's true for every artist, for everybody who believes in what they're doing.
yeah.
you have to take a leap of faith. So one is, where can people find your comedy? What is your project, and what can they look for right now and on TJ's road?
Oh, well, you can find all my stuff mainly on social media and on YouTube. I'm at TJ Stand Up, Instagram and TikTok to a certain extent. Yeah, I post clips and I'm touring. I've been on tour since I started this new tour in September. So I'm working on a new hour that's different from what is on the special Alien of Ordinary Ability on YouTube. So I'm playing with this new material that is very personal to me that I really enjoy, and
Mm.
I'm going to a lot of different cities, so I hope people watching this can get some tickets and come see us live, because that's really, social media is a great tool to proliferate and expand your comedy, but ultimately the real experience, and I'm sure you notice as a musician, there's nothing like being in the room and enjoying the product live. This is what it is. It's communication. It's alchemy. It's just being in a room with people, and then you create something that wasn't there before. And there's something about
Yeah,
that vibe that's irreplaceable. Social media could never touch that.
correct. And I feel like with everything going on around AI, right?
Yeah.
Even in the music industry, like AI is going to take over licensing. AI is going to write songs, but AI cannot put on a show,
No.
right? Cannot get on stage, right? And tell a joke the way you're going to be able to do. And I feel like that is something that is purely a human art form, right? The performance, the arts on a stage, and there's no amount of AI that's going to be able to take that away,
Yeah.
you
There's
know?
there's no humanity in AI, so I'm not worried about that. As long as you do something that has humanity in it, then AI can't really replace you.
Bam, man. Any last words, TJ, for anybody out there, for immigrant communities watching, for folks out there in solidarity with the Haitian community? Anything you want to say to the folks out there?
Uh we're fighters. So we gotta keep fighting, because the moment you had to leave your country to come and try to find a better life in a different country, that's just the acceptance that we're fighters, we're here to fight. And right now things are not great. So whatever it is that you do in life that helps you have some peace and sanity and some love and some joy, you keep doing that and you keep fighting. Obviously, we don't do saviors. Not one person can save anybody from anything. We have to save ourselves. So just keep showing up, keep fighting, and keep finding joy in life, because that's all we have.
Brother TJ, I want to say thank you so much for joining the podcast. This is the National Immigration Law Center's podcast, and part of what we're doing is talking to creatives, culture workers, comedians, authors, writers, and really getting the experiences of all of us, right? Because we do believe that we're all the same because we're all different. And all of us make this beautiful place called the US. And we have the opportunity to mold it, and you're doing it through your art form. And I love it, man. I think you're hilarious. And I can't wait to see what the future brings you. And we will be in touch, brother. You know what I
Thank you
mean?
guys for having me. I really enjoyed talking to you, man. Thank you.
Most definitely, TJ. And we'll stay in touch, brother.
You
Orale.
will. Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you so much to the Haitian sensation, brother TJ, for your sharings. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to keep the Haitian vibes vibing. We're going to bring on next Cassandra Charles, senior staff attorney at the National Immigration Law Center, who's been kicking ass and fighting for the rights of Haitian and Haitian communities and all immigrant communities. So please welcome to the podcast, Cassandra Charles. How you doing today, Cassandra?
I'm great, Hector. How are you?
I'm all right. And those glasses are fly right now. I just want to let you know. I just want that they're not going unnoticed. Cassandra, thank you so much for joining us today. One question I want to ask, I always have this question for people who are involved in justice work is, how did you come into advocacy work? Why did you fall into this? What were the experiences you had growing up that led you to basically be on the front lines for immigrant families?
So, advocacy has been something I've been doing for as long as I can remember. I am the daughter of Haitian immigrants, so I am a first generation born in America. Um, and coming from, a family where English is not the first language spoken in the country we're from. I was a translator at 5 years old. I would go to the banks with my grandmother, to the post office with my grandmother, and I would have to translate for her. Um, so it and this continued throughout my whole life, right? So it's only natural that I'm in this work. And coming from an immigrant family, immigrants' rights are just near and dear to my heart. They affect my personal life as well as my professional life.
Yeah.
So I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Yeah. You know, there's a comedian, Felipe Esparza. He has this whole joke about being in middle school. He didn't know how to do algebra, but he could fill out a W-9 form.
And that's real. Although I was born here, um, it's funny when I started school, I actually had to take ESL classes
Yeah.
because all we spoke at home was Creole and French. And so when I started school, I actually had trouble with English because from as long as I could speak, I wasn't speaking English at
Yeah.
home.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
was like
Yeah.
a running joke. I remember. So Haitians, like, we're very big on like living with extended family and such. So I was in a house with my grandparents, and my grandmother would say all the time, she's like, listen, I struggle to speak English at work. I'm not going to be uncomfortable in my house and speak English at home.
I
So
know.
that was
Yeah.
not my
Yeah.
first language.
So, Cassandra, speaking of Haiti and Haitian families, Haiti has been on the minds and on the media a lot lately. Can you share a little bit about what's happening right now with the Haitian community under Trump?
Sure. So TJ touched on this a bit, but back in 2010, Haiti experienced a very catastrophic earthquake. And during that time, they were able to get temporary protected status in the United States. And since 2010, the country hasn't gone back to a form of stability that allows people to live as freely as they should. So that TPS status has been renewed periodically since 2010 to present. The current TPS designation is set to expire on February 3rd, 2026, because this administration has deemed the country safe enough for Haitians who are in the United States to return, despite the obvious civil unrest that's going on. Um, so a lot of people come February 3rd are going to be in limbo because they relied on this temporary protected status to be here in safety um, and just live the lives that they, live safe lives. Um, so there's current litigation going on to see, to challenge, excuse me, the administration's abrupt ending of the CPS designation. So we're still waiting to see what the courts decide.
So, Cassandra, speaking about Haiti and Haitian immigrants, I have a question. Is Haiti one of the countries that is currently being banned under the Trump administration?
So yes, Haiti is one of close to 40 countries who have been deemed high risk and who currently have travel bans issued against them. And not only do they have travel bans, uh, this administration has also paused all discretionary benefits. So that means someone with an approved family-based petition who is eligible to adjust their status to get a green card. Right now, they can't do that. So there are large ripple effects of this new travel ban policy. But the short answer to your question is yes, Haiti is on that list.
You know, I feel like it's kind of wild because I feel like vulnerable communities are being subject to a lot of this maltreatment, this mistreatment by the government, by policies. And I feel like if we're not standing up right now for vulnerable communities, everybody's next, right? Like they're like vulnerable communities are the testing ground. You know what I mean? Whether it be like Mexican immigrants, whether it be like Palestinian, advocates, whether it be Haitian immigrants. I still remember the scenes of like the man on a horse, sort of like whipping a Haitian immigrant on the border, right? Like those are the kind of things that if you can do that, if you can do that to one group of folks, what makes us think they can't do it to another? You know what I mean? So like, what is NILC? What is NILC's call to action, and what is for everyday folks to do right now?
So at NOC, we are very passionate about community education. In addition to the litigation that we engage in, um, education is power, right? We do our best to inform people of the rights that they have, despite all these changes that are happening with all these immigration benefits, the pauses and the ending of programs. We try to empower people with information that they need to continue to thrive despite all the atrocities that are happening around us. So that is NILC's primary focus, or one of their primary focuses, in addition to, bringing cases challenging anti-immigrant laws and policies across the country.
As we just had this conversation with TJ, a Haitian comedian, right? Who I think is doing like he's hilarious, and he is when he's on the road, he does become a Haitian ambassador. When I go on the road, I become this sort of like child of immigrant ambassador. I feel like what do you think? Like, what can we do to shift the narrative? To a much more truthful one. Shift the narrative of like hardworking, community loving, tax paying immigrant communities. Like, what do you see at NILC as something we could do better?
I don't necessarily think it's something that we can do better. I think it's something that we should continue doing. Immigrants are hardworking people. Immigrants are good people. Um, you know, we, and I say we, despite the fact that I was born here, I very much identify as an immigrant, even
Same,
being
same.
born here. Um, you know, I don't think we need to perform. I think we just need to continue being ourselves, and let that shine through. And through community and through just the advocacy and the systems around us, we will continue to uplift those narratives. And as much as we can, continue sharing those stories of who an immigrant is and what they do, we need to do that. And for people like you and I who have points of privilege where we are, able to speak for the people who can't speak for themselves, we need to amplify those stories.
Yes. And I feel like part of our work too is understand that we can't just be fighting for our own. I can't just be fighting for like the Latinos when I know like we have all kinds of immigrants getting picked up, and we need to speak up about that. And I think that's something we can do better. Or I should speak for myself. Something I can do better and advocate to my communities to do better is that we need to be advocating for other vulnerable communities who are not Latino, Chicano, Mexican, or Latin American, right? Because this is happening in so many communities across the country. And I feel like but it provides an opportunity for us to actually be aligned together, that we have the opportunity to create a new America if we can just stand with one another at this time. So, Cassandra, I want to thank you for your work, for your advocacy. I think NILC is doing an incredible job. I mean, y'all are doing kick-ass work nationally, and I want to just thank you for that. And as the elders say, KOG, let's keep on going. So thank you so much, Cassandra.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Familia, I want to thank everybody who joined the podcast today. TJ, the comedy, the Haitian sensation, thank you for your sharing and for your work. Cassandra, thank you for being on the front lines with NILC and for your sharings today. And to everybody who is listening, gracias. And we'll see you at the next podcast. Thanks for listening to the episode of NILC's Freedom to Thrive podcast, Resistance, Justice, Resilience. To learn more about the work NILC is doing, visit nilc.org, and don't forget to subscribe for future episodes.